Imagine the exact moment autumn's warmth turns into a crisp winter wonderland. Today, we are capturing that magic in our first frost necklace. We'll blend the rich, earthy rust and fall reds with cool, frosty blues, creating a stunning piece that bridges the seasons perfectly. These are the beads I'm starting out for my first frost necklace. So, first frost is usually later on in the fall, like November, at least here. Sometimes we don't even get a first frost to the end of November. But most people by that time have had a frost. And I've got the fall colors here. We've got the oranges and the deep burgundies. We've got a few little leaves. And these chunks and these glass beads all represent frost. These are carnelian. These are agate. And so I've got the frost part of it, the first frost, but I need the firmament in here. So for firmament, we've got these beads. Aren't these pretty? They will sparkle, sparkle. And they are pretty much the same shape as these crackle agates. More firmament. I've got some blue stars here. I have some more firmament. I'm not for sure if I'm going to use them or not, but we have some moons. So this is my palette for the first frost necklace. And I got to figure out how exactly I'm going to put these all together. Little backstory. I actually did a video on this not long ago. I'll leave a link at the end. But I am doing a craft fair November the 7th, and the theme I've picked is Frost and Firmament. All right, so I have a bead board, and I just laid out my beads. I've got all my celestial or firmament here. I've got the crystals, the carnelian here. We've got the crackle agate and the leaves. And then, of course, we have our frost here. And then I can just lay out my beads to design my piece. When designing, I usually put the focal first, and I put it in the middle. Now this particular thing right here, I just wired up really quick to see what it would look like, and I accidentally cut that. Wasn't really paying attention to what I was doing, but that's okay because I kind of wanted to show you how I did this anyway. So that is going to be in the middle there. And then I'm just going to start laying out my pattern, and I may have it one way and I won't like it, so I'll switch it. And sometimes I will get it all laid out and then I'll walk away for maybe a few hours, even up to a day, and come back. And that's probably what I'm going to wind up doing, is putting them out, changing them around. And you just do that until you get the look you like. And a lot of times, these beads will talk to you. You might think I'm crazy to say that, but those of us who have been creating for a while, sometimes these elements will talk to you and tell you where they want to be. As I'm laying out my beads here, I'm thinking I need beads about this size. These are 6mm. I like to change up the sizing, and I was going to put some of the bigger beads here, but I want to put big beads next to little beads instead of having all big chunky beads or all little tiny beads. So these are some more crackle agate in a frosty color. Aren't those pretty? Originally, my thought process was I was going to make a bunch of links, but now I'm questioning if I want to do that. I may just string these on some beading wire. I usually like to use fishing line, and I do have a video about that. I've been doing it for probably close to 45 years and haven't had any issues. But I kind of like these colors together. They're really pretty. I'm going to go ahead and string half of this on a wire just to see what it looks like. And if I like it, I'm going to go ahead, and this will be 3 separate pieces. This will be one piece, this will be another piece, this will be another piece. And then I'll finish it off with some chain. So here is my monofilament. This monofilament and the monofilament you go purchase at the beading department in your craft store or other stores are the same thing. The only difference is the beading wire is a lot more expensive than the fishing line, and they work just as well. Now, there are some other type of beading wire that's not monofilament. Those are good too. But I will go ahead and string these up and show you what it looks like. Now, though, I think I am going to let this sit for a couple of hours and come back and string them up. But I think I'm going to have them all strung up, and I rearranged a little bit as I was stringing them, but I like the way they are. I am going to add a little silver tiny seed bead at the end here and on the other side. But as you can see, I've done kind of the burnt orange crystal. We've got some clear glass, like frosted glass beads. We have stars. We have those really pretty bluish purple aurora borealis type. We got the red. I did change these leaves. They were orange, but I think the white is better, or clear, I guess they are. We have those chunks of crystals. We have some carnelian, and then I just did the same thing on the other side. And I'm going to finish it up with chain. This will probably be about an 18-inch necklace. So I'm using these crimp covers. I also call them clamshell bead caps or bead tips. And then you need a pen or a needle. This thing is really cool. It stops the beads from falling off when you're stringing. Great invention. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take one of those bead caps, bead tips, these little clamshell thingies, and we're going to feed it on there from the bottom. There's a little hole there. And then you just tie 2 knots and feed it inside the hole and carefully close the hole. Now, as I'm tying the knots, I like to make sure they're pretty tight, and I tie those 2 knots on top of each other, not side by side. Now, these clamshell bead tips, they actually come in 2 different ways, 2 different styles. These have little loops. Some of them have little hooks. With these loops, you want to make sure they are lined up together, because after you trim off that little piece of wire there, you want to make sure that's trim and nothing's sticking out. So you may want to take your nail and feel around there, and if it's poking out, you can just take your nail and poke it back in there. But anyway, after you get that done, you're going to take a jump ring and you're going to open it up and feed it through those 2 holes. So you want to make sure that those holes are lined up evenly. Now, there's a specific way to open up a jump ring, and I do have a video about that. I'll try to leave a link up top there. But I like to use 2 pliers and just open it up, feed it in where you want it, take the 2 pliers, close it back up. And once you think you have it closed up there, you want to make sure it really is closed up. You don't want any gaps, because if you got a gap there, things will fall apart. I forgot to put the clasp on, so I have to open it back up. And now I'm going to put half the clasp on and close it back up. Like I said, making sure those 2 are closed together, because you don't want your clasp falling off. The other side is pretty much the same. There is a little difference. That's where that pin or needle comes in, because when you tie your knots, you're going to have to put 2 knots on top of each other into the opening of the clasp. And in order to do that, you use the pin to feed your knots into that opening. Before I finish the other side of the necklace, I've decided to add a little bit of chain. Now, depending on how long you want your necklace will determine the amount of chain you want. I don't want this to be a very long necklace. I want it to be more of a choker style. So I'm just going to need a little bit of a chain on each side. So right now I am going to finish the other side. I've got my little clamshell thingy there. I'm going to put it onto my wire like so. And then I'm going to tie a couple of knots, feeding them into the opening. This is where that needle comes in handy. You just take it, put it in the little loop there, and push it on down. And it's easier sometimes to use pliers to help you out. So my phone quit working and I didn't notice it until I had the necklace all done. Basically what I did is I just went ahead, I measured out my chain, I took jump rings to put them onto the necklace and put the clasp on, all pretty simple to do. Like I said, I will leave a link up here somewhere of another necklace tutorial, because basically all the techniques I do on pretty much all my necklaces like this are the same. So you can use this technique, different beads, have you a different necklace. But anyway, I've got some videos I will show you of the necklace up close. Here it is. It is, like I said, a little shorter. I believe this is a 16.5 or 17-inch necklace. I love the way it turned out. It is definitely like a late fall necklace type. We have the crystals here, the clear crystals that represent the frost. We have the colors of fall representing, you know, the leaves that are falling off, and we've got the blues of the cold of the winter coming, and they go really well with some firmament earrings. I do have some stars in there, and I think this is going to be a perfect necklace to have for sale at my craft fair with all my jewelry that has the theme of frost and firmament. What do you think? And what are some other ideas that you have that maybe I can make? Thank you so much for joining me. Y'all have a great day. This is Terry Jeanette with Tapping Flamingo signing out for now. Bye-bye.